So going right along with this same topic, guys, similar topic in terms of the government, right, and what they're doing and their ever expanding powers. So the mainstream media has responded. The mainstream media, the mainstream media is using now Tucker Carlson to kind of make fun of the fact that the NSA does spy on Americans, right? That the NSA, like the NSA, is allowed to do this via the Patriot Act and via the FISA. So you need to understand where this whole thing is coming from, because this thing is years in the making, this whole what's going on right now. So Tucker Carlson pretty much accused the NSA of spying on him in particular, and on air. Yeah, he did this. So there's this Reuters article. I'm just going to read the very top. The U.S. National Security Agency, the NSA, on Tuesday denied the allegations by Fox News host Tucker Carlson that the agency is spying on him in an attempt to force him off the air. They said the allegation is untrue. And I'll let Johnny, let's just go ahead and we're going to read the whole the whole statement, because they made a whole statement. So this is their statement.
The one on the folder here. Okay.
Yep. On June 28th, 2021, Tucker Carlson alleged that the National Security Agency has been monitoring our electronic communications and is planning to leak them in an attempt to take the show off the air. That's what he said. They say this allegation is untrue. Tucker Carlson has never been an intelligence target of the agency, and the NSA has never had any plans to try to take his program off the air. The NSA has a foreign intelligence mission. We target foreign powers to generate insights on foreign activities that could harm the United States, with limited exceptions, e.g., example, an emergency. NSA may not target a U.S. citizen without the court order that explicitly authorizes the targeting.
Hold on. Please.
Edward Snowden begs to differ.
Yeah. He says you were collecting information on us, the U.S. citizens, at 3 to 4 times the rate that you were collecting information on China and or Russia.
Yep.
Get the hell out of here.
We're going to get to that. And
You've
Johnny,
already been busted.
I have some context too, Johnny, because you'll see. So Justin Amash, one of the first to speak out, of course. He said the NSA spies on all Americans through so-called incidental collection. And I'm going to define to you in a minute what that is. Don't let surveillance state apologists fool you. Incidental collection isn't just collection on people talking to bad guys overseas. It's broad, warrantless collection that violates the Fourth Amendment. Okay. And so then he put this article, justsecurity.org, and I went through the article because it's a really great article. And before we go through the article, though, I want to go through another tweet of his, and then we're going to go through certain parts of the article. He said, don't know whether NSA is specifically spying on Carlson, but this statement is worthless. First, it denies a compound allegation, RE, monitoring and taking show off air. Second, it says he's not a target, which is a term of art. Real danger is so-called incidental collection, and he repeats the whole incidental collection thing.
Yeah.
So what is incidental collection, right? What is it? Because this is how they get around things. They use language that most people don't understand, and they're like, no, it's okay. We're not spying on you. We're only going after the bad guys. So this is back from years ago. Incidental collection happens when an individual is in contact with the target of surveillance. So in other words, if Bob were being targeted for surveillance and Alice called or emailed Bob, Alice's communication with him would be collected incidentally. Incidental collection happens over the course of most surveillance, whether it is targeted surveillance under traditional FISA authorities or it is a large-scale surveillance pursuant to Section 702 of the FISA amendments. Okay? Where the vast amounts of American communications are swept up by the national security state. So on the next slide, Johnny, under traditional FISA surveillance, FISA authorities, right? That's why they did an amendment. Under traditional surveillance, FISA authorities, surveillance is targeted at a single person, and then they're not allowed to go after anybody else. And the NSA then conducts it pursuant to a warrant-based and on probable cause. That was supposed to be the way things function. So if they wanted to go after Pasta, then they would go after Pasta. They would need a warrant to do anything more. They would need a reason, a specific reason, a probable cause, etc. Now, it's pursuant to a warrant based on probable cause that the target is a foreign power or an agent of a foreign power. So again, it wasn't supposed to be for people in the United States. It was supposed to be for foreign agents, for bad guys abroad that are a threat to our national security. But here, if Bob is targeted for surveillance and Alice contacts him during that surveillance, resulting in the incidental collection of her communications with him, her name would be redacted or masked. Should be redacted or masked, unless leaving it unredacted provides foreign intelligence value. So even the name, if it provides value, and they have full decision to decide whether it does or not. It doesn't go for a vote. There's no judge, none of this. But there's a loophole. If the NSA analyst reviewing the information believes Alice's communications may contain evidence of any crime, then NSA can share those communications with law enforcement or other relevant agencies. And those agencies then use that for their whatever investigations they have. And again, no judge approves this decision on who to target for surveillance. The Attorney General and the Director of National Intelligence have complete and total discretion over whose communications to target. And the standard for surveillance is much lower than what is required under the traditional FISA authorities. A determination need only be made that collecting foreign intelligence information is a significant purpose of the surveillance. This low standard is compounded by an extremely broad definition of foreign intelligence information. It goes well beyond the information relevant to counter-espionage, national security, and defense. It also includes information relevant to the foreign affairs of the United States. This can result in surveillance that targets academics, lawyers, business people, and activists. So this is in our government. This has been a thing. So for the NSA to come out and say, no, we're not spying on Tucker. Yeah, of course, Tucker Carlson, is a media figure, almost entertainment at this point. He's hated by the left, and they're making a mockery out of it. You can tell by how they're referring to him, the language they're using. Haha, we're not spying on Tucker. And then if you go through the comments on these things, you see all the neoliberals being, Tucker Carlson, who cares about him? Like they're missing the point.
They're missing the whole system. Thing. The system. When you talk about what happened with, and this also happened with Donald Trump with Carter Page being able to go, okay, we got a warrant on Carter Page through the FISA courts. That means it's like 3 or 4 or 6 people he talked to. One of them happened to be Donald Trump, would allow them to bug everything and watch and listen to everything they have to say. And here's the thing. They're subcontracting out the data, which they're storing, to other companies. So they're collecting an enormous amount of data on all of us. And that's where they're trying to kind of play it off. So they still might be collecting data on people he speaks to, his guests, whatnot, all those things, you know what I'm saying, and storing that data. So in essence, they're spying on all of us. I mean, it's like 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. It's very easy to get a hold of, like, okay, this person that Fiorella spoke to, who spoke to this person, who spoke to this person who's under FBI surveillance, means I can now go listen to Fiorella's conversations because it's connected.
Right.
And that's the whole system which Amash is trying to talk about and saying it's ridiculous. So.
Yeah, and they're gaslighting people. They're saying, no, only if you're a bad guy in Iraq or in Iran. Iran. Like, it doesn't. Yeah. That's what they're saying.
That's a lie.
So this is from Glenn Greenwald back when he worked at The Guardian, right? He used to work at The Guardian in 2013. Okay, and he laid out with the FISA court-approved policies that allow the NSA to do what? So the FISA court-approved policies allow the NSA to keep data that could potentially contain details of U.S. persons for up to 5 years, retain and make use of inadvertently acquired domestic communications if they contain usable intelligence, information on criminal activity, threat of harm to people or property are encrypted, or are believed to contain any information relevant to cybersecurity. Anything they believe is fair game, guys. Preserve foreign intelligence information contained within attorney-client communications, access the content of communications gathered from U.S.-based machines or phone numbers in order to establish if targets are located in the U.S. for the purpose of seizing further surveillance. The broad scope of the court orders and the nature of the procedure set out in the documents appear to clash with assurances from Obama. This was back then, and senior intelligence official that the NSA could not access this information. And these documents show that discretion as to who is targeted under the NSA foreign surveillance powers lies directly with its own analysts, meaning these people have, again, full, they are the ones in charge. There's no judge. They have full and total broad discretion, free range to actually decide what information is relevant to them or not. And this is a very important part here. Though a percentage of targeting decisions are reviewed by internal audit teams on a regular basis, it is mostly on these people, right? And I put this for reference, read section 702. If you go into the entire thing, it's very wonky. It's hard to read. But if you go to 702, they talk more in depth about that. And again, this is from a while ago, guys. This has been going on for a while. I wanted to remind everybody why it's such a big deal that the NSA said what they said, because they're gaslighting people. They're still trying to, what Snowden revealed, what Julian Assange has revealed, what other whistleblowers have revealed is the spying on Americans is very real. And Glenn Greenwald wrote about this 8 years ago.
Yeah.
8 years ago, guys.
Yeah. And, all the jerk-offs are involved. Brennan, Clapper. Yeah. Clapper lied to, Congress about this whole situation, about them collecting data and information on American citizens. He lied. And he still got to keep his job. In fact, he got a contract at MSNBC after. Yep. So they've been doing this for a long time. This is what Snowden's on the run for, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. This is why he can't come into the United States.
He's hanging out in Russia.
Why? So I would recommend that article that we showed. I recommend reading Section 702. If you have time to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of information just to refresh.
There's the same energy and the same accusations towards the same treatment towards Tucker Carlson that Donald Trump got when he says they were spying on me.
Right.
They were spying. I'm like, oh, if Donald Trump, QAnon guy, thinks that they're spying on him. Listen to this asshole, and then guess what? They were spying on him.
That's exactly what they're doing, because they want to make a mockery because it's Tucker Carlson saying it. Right? So a lot of the left's going to be like, oh, Tucker Carlson, I don't care what he has to say. He's a white supremacist, da-da-da-da-da. And this is how they keep it going. Yep. Because if Tucker Carlson says one thing that's right, as much as I dislike him or I dislike his policies on immigration and all the shit he says, I have to say, actually, he's not lying here. And you can do that. You don't have to fucking love Tucker Carlson. You don't have to. But you can say he did this. He actually said the truth inadvertently. He's just like Trump many times. Inadvertently, he said something that was actually factual, outside of all his language and all his, his signaling to his base. He might have said one thing that was factual, and that's why they didn't like it, because he didn't put the whole platitude-y word salad on top of it, and it was just something that they couldn't afford.
Yeah. And this behavior's been going on for a long time, and it was amped up even more with the Patriot Act. It gave them more freedoms to do what they wanted to do. That's the three-letter agencies. That's why I'm still laughing about our first segment today with the Emily person, who's actually, I get a check from the FBI. I work for these people, but you got to get rid of this white supremacist over there. You work for a three-letter agency.
That's what people don't get yet.
I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen, just think about it. That's a person who has power and some schmuck on the street who's just yelling a bunch of words. A person who actually has power. She's working for people with power. So
okay, so the NSA's data interception of individuals who were cast in a net and were not targeted far outnumber that of those primary targets. I just want to let everybody know that this is from the Washington Post. Okay.
Because they had to put this out there and get it out there because they were getting so beat up on this shit years ago.
Another article you should bookmark. This is when the Washington Post actually did something in 2014. Okay. Again, I'm just going to repeat that. I'm not going to go over the whole thing. But basically what I'm saying is that the NSA intercepted this data, right, of all these people. The vast majority of the data they got from people not the primary targets vastly outnumbered the targets they initially had. So let's say they wanted to target Pasta, but the vast majority of the data they got was from Johnny, me, and everybody else in our network, but not Pasta. And they were able to do this. And this was back when Snowden provided these files that show the extent that happens when web users are caught in this net, because it's a wide net. It's so broad, and it's a wide net that they're casting. So you are inadvertently caught in this net, and that is what's always been up for debate. That is unconstitutional. That is an overreach of the powers of the national security.
It's like if they were after me, but then I had a conversation for John. That gives them permission to look through all of John's stuff.
And if they find something that he did wrong, let's say John was doing something illegal, they can go after him for that, even though they weren't targeting him for that in the first place. In basic terms, that is what basically it is. And that's to me still one of the craziest and scariest thing, right? So then Tucker Carlson responded to the NSA. And I just wanted to play that. But the Biden administration's efforts to monitor and intimidate this show. I'll tell you. On Sunday, we heard from a whistleblower within the U.S. government with direct knowledge who warned us that the
efforts to monitor and intimidate this show. On Sunday, we heard from a whistleblower within the U.S. government, someone with direct knowledge, who warned us that the NSA was reading our electronic communications, our emails and texts, and was planning to leak them selectively in an effort to hurt us. This person had details from my emails that no one outside the recipient could have known. So it was not a delusion, it was entirely real. In fact, it was confirmed. After the show last night, after we announced this, other news organizations acted as if it's totally normal for heavily politicized intel agencies to spy on and threaten journalists they disagree with. It's no big deal. Stop whining. But it is a big deal. It is completely wrong, not to mention illegally. And this is hardly the first time the so-called intelligence community has done something like this. They've done an awful lot of it. Look it up. If we let them continue to do it, it's the end of democracy. Democracy can't function with semi-independent, highly politicized intel agencies. It's really dangerous. For its part, the Biden administration just ignored the story. They did not deny the story. They can't. They know that it's true. Today, the president's flack was asked about it on Air Force One. Here's the exchange.
Tucker Carlson said that the NSA is spying on him. Is the administration aware of any espionage or listening efforts on U.S. citizens by the NSA, and is Tucker Carlson one of them?
Well, the NSA, as I think you're well aware, I'm sure everyone's aware, everyone on this plane is aware, I should say, is an entity that focuses on foreign threats and individuals who are attempting to do us harm on foreign soil. So that is their purview, but beyond that, I would point you to the intelligence community.
It's like she's reading the Wikipedia entry. Ask them. But here's what to notice. No denial. Of course, she's right that the NSA is chartered to spy on foreigners, not on Americans. That's illegal. And yet the NSA does routinely spy on Americans. It won't call it spying. That's exactly what it is. Millions of Americans. And sometimes it does it for political reasons. And everyone knows this. Everyone, including sitting members of the Intel Committee. Some of them are paranoid about their own communications. That's true. In Washington, this is just considered fine. But it's not fine. It is dangerous and it's wrong. Some faceless hack in a powerful government spy agency decides he doesn't like what you think, so he's going to hurt you, and there's nothing you can do about it? That could happen to you. And when it does happen, trust us. NBC News will call you a delusional QAnon conspiracy theorist for complaining about it.
Okay.
Enough said. Enough said.
Yeah.
And they're lying.
They're lying.
They're lying.
Guys. They're lying.
They got caught this all the time. They've gotten caught so many times.
So many times by so many people on both sides of the aisle.
Professional liars.
Both sides of the aisle.
Professional liars.
Tucker Carlson is saying truth here. And I have to commend him on saying this. He has an audience of millions of people that need to hear this. And he's absolutely right. They're going to frame you as a QAnon conspiracy theorist. They're already doing that. You question elections, QAnon conspiracy. You question COVID, QAnon conspiracy. That's the whole point. You question the NSA? No. Oh, QAnon conspiracy. When there's data from a decade ago that shows that this is a thing. This has been happening. Like it's we cannot allow them to narrative management. And this isn't a left-right thing. This is an authoritarian thing. This is the state agencies, the national security state apparatus. And they're lying, they're narrative managing to try to make this a right-wing issue now. You questioning state agencies now because Tucker Carlson did it or because Trump did it is now a right-wing talking
That's
point.
Exactly what they're trying to do, and that's the scary part because a lot of people are going to buy into it because of the team sports. And, you know, the way they obtain this information is so fucking shady, too, as well. They used the Steele dossier to go to the FISA courts to get warrants to spy on Carter Page and everybody connected to him, that being Donald Trump, when they knew the Steele dossier was full of shit. They don't give a damn, and nobody had to pay a price for that. You know, nobody had to pay a price for the deeds of the NSA, which has been constantly doing this for so long. Like I said, they're outsourcing their data storage to other companies right now. That's how much data they are collecting on American citizens, and it's scary because once again, it is supposed to be, you know, Jen Psaki when she worked at the State Department was such a freaking liar too as well. These are professional liars over here, Jen Psaki. I mean, and this cuck over here, Pam. This guy is just the worst if I've ever seen. I mean, this guy is falling so hard. Please.
Yeah, so he said, breaking, Tucker Carlson may tonight have inadvertently revealed that the NSA has found he is an asset of or in contact with a foreign entity trying to harm the United States of America. Guys, notice how he frames this. Now, Tucker Carlson is now a foreign agent. He can just blatantly lay that, no evidence, none of it, right? But he gets to say this on air and be on air and say this. So let's
Same guy who said Russian scum.
Yeah.
Carlson claims the National Security Agency, the NSA, is spying on him, reading his emails, and trying to take his program off the air. As the old joke goes, just because you're paranoid, that does not mean they are not out to get you. Clearly, the NSA has found that Tucker Carlson is somehow connected to a foreign entity that intends to harm America. Carlson, who is the lowest of the low, an individual without morals or conscience or loyalty, who once launched a website with my name in it and stole my identity and posed as me in an interview with a gullible NSA has responded Tuesday night that, quote, the allegation is untrue. Carlson has never been an intelligence target of the agency, and the NSA has never had any plans to try to take his program off the air. The NSA added, in what seems like a throwaway bit of boilerplate, that it also, quote, has a foreign intelligence mission. We target foreign powers to generate insights on foreign activities that could harm the United States. That, in fact, is the most important part of the statement. Even Carlson, in his delusional, megalomaniacal way, kind of got the message, responding on his show that he claimed, quote, NSA has read my private emails without my permission. Tonight's statement from the NSA does not deny that. Instead, it comes with this non sequitur: Tucker Carlson has never been an intel target. Well, that's only a non sequitur if you're a non-smart person. The conclusion is obvious, and the conclusion is chilling. The NSA is reading Tucker Carlson's emails, and since he's not their target, whoever he is emailing with must be. And if the NSA can only target foreign powers, then there is one conclusion only. Tucker Carlson is in contact with a foreign power, trying to commit activities that could harm the United States. In other words, whether he's a foreign asset or a mere stooge, and my money is on mere stooge, Tucker Carlson is working with a foreign entity to damage this country. And he's too stupid to shut up about it, and he's too stupid to flee the country, because ultimately, he's too stupid.
I wish somebody just punches this guy in the nose and they get it caught on film and I can watch it and laugh at it. I mean, this guy, it really, did you just hear that shit, ladies and gentlemen? Did you just hear that stuff? He's working with a foreign entity, fam.
I don't even, this is my whole thing. Like, this isn't about Tucker Carlson. They're weaponizing him and the disdain that the left has for him to make a mockery out of the fact that the NSA does spy on Americans. This guy here gets paid to do that, okay? He gets paid to narrative manage. Tucker Carlson, his days are probably numbered on Fox after this. I mean, I'm not even joking when I say that.
Yeah,
like,
he
makes them a lot of money, but he's been pushing it too. So that's the thing. Like, they have to make this about Tucker Carlson and his character and all this thing. And some of these things may be true. It doesn't matter. I don't give a shit how you feel about Tucker Carlson. What he said is right. And what he's saying is actually correct. And the NSA is spying on everybody right now. And they have even ramped that up with the Biden administration, with what they're doing. We've talked about it on the show. They're monitoring your social media. The Department of Homeland Security has a division that is doing specifically that. The U.S. Postal Service has a division that is doing just that. Biden is pushing this DVE situation. The Congress just approved more money for police and more money for the state agencies. We went over all of that, right? There's only one bill that's trying to reduce the funding for the Pentagon that Johnny went over the other day, but everything else has given more power to the state agencies.
Yeah.
And so it's really scary how they get to frame and all of this and make this about Tucker Carlson being a foreign stooge or foreign this or foreign that, because that's their go-to. Soon they're going to say, "Oh, it's Russia."
Yeah.
Like that's the next step, right? That's what they're going to do next. So.
And by the way, Keith Olbermann, he added at NSA, but like that's not the NSA account.
No, it's not. It's not.
The NSA account is at NSA Gov.
Yeah.
And this NSA account has been says some weird shit.
Yeah, he's added the wrong account, like a donkey.
because he's stupid.